Hey guys, all right, so we are starting for today, and the discussion is going to be how can you find some additional content when you're looking for listing leads, right? We are in a seller's market, as defined as it can come down to. We are looking for more listings to bring into the market. And this is actually what needs to happen in order for the market to actually stabilize, because the problem is supply and demand. We have a lot more demand right now than we actually have supply. So making sure that we can increase that supply is going to be key. So as real estate agents, it is our duty, our job to try and stabilize this market. And how are we going to do that is we need to determine how we can actually help find more seller leads. So there are a bunch of sources for seller leads. There are those online sources through Facebook, through Google, or through just organic means. But there are also methods by going through expired listings or old expired listings and maybe regenerating out people from that method. There is also the basis of going after for sale by owners, as it is traditional mindset that for sale by owners tend to be a place that a seller will actually lose money in the actual grand scheme of things. But there is one tool and one resource that I think is kind of untapped and not thought about all too often, and that is one of the best resources in the method for bringing up seller leads. Now, what is that, right? Where do we find seller leads in the current environment? What are the methods and the tools that we can put into action today to actually start finding seller leads in something that you already have as real estate agents? What is something that you can do just a little different with what you already have? And that place right now is one of those bases of what is the best source for seller leads, right? What is the place where they're going to actually say, I want you to help me sell my house, right? And you don't have to maybe chase them as much as some of the lead sources I just talked about, but this is one where they actually are chasing you because you've already supplied value to them in another technique. So this is a place that will find seller leads in a very robust method of people that you are already working with. So what is that source? Well, it's buyer leads, right? And you're all like, whatever, that's not true. Guys, listen, statistics don't lie. And when it comes down to it, the statistics of a buyer lead are traditional. The fact that currently 38% of your buyer leads coming in, all right? So let's just use a simple 100 number. 100 leads are out there in the mix. 100 leads come in through one of your buyer lead sources, whether that be a sphere of influence, whether that be Facebook leads, whether that be just organic growth of buyer leads calling in on listings that you're posting online, whether that be Craigslist, Facebook, you name it, right? Blog post, any of those resources. What are buyer leads are coming out of that? 38% of them, or in our case, 38 people, are going to be new home purchasers, right? They are renting in previous methods, or they are moving to this area as a new home purchaser. They have already found something that they had before, and now they're moving into the technique of purchasing. But 26%, or in our number, 26 of those people are actually going to be people that are making the upgrade in our marketplace, right? So these are 26 people in our 100 number that are going to make the decision that they want to actually purchase a property, but they're also selling probably another property. Now, a lot of these may be upgrades. Some of them may be downgrades. They may be empty nesters. There's a lot of opportunities here, but they're raising their hand because they're looking at property. And now you need to ask the right questions in an effort to make sure that you're getting the next answer. So 36%, the remainder of that 100 people, 36 people don't know what they're going to do with their current living situation. So these are people that may think about renting their property, or they may want to give their property to somebody else. So this is a really cool statistic in these numbers that we're talking about. So 50% of mortgages in the marketplace are paid off. So they might own that property free and clear, which means if they are upgrading, they may be willing to give that property to another person in their family, a child, or they may be passing it on to another sibling if it's a family-oriented method. So there's a lot of things that you don't actually take into account, but these are questions that need to start to be asked, because this 36% are people that own real estate and are purchasing an upgrade property, but don't know what they're doing with their current property yet, right? And a lot of times this doesn't even get brought up because, once again, they might not necessarily need to sell it to purchase that other property. So what do, right? We got to ask the right questions. And that is the key to how we succeed in turning a buyer lead into not only a buyer lead, but also a seller lead. So what are some of the questions that you can ask? Now, obviously, the simple one is, what are you going to do with what you currently are doing right now? Look, what are you going to do with the property that you're current at? Are you currently renting? Do you currently own? And the question actually sometimes can get a false negative, meaning that they're actually going to say like, oh yeah, no, don't worry about it. It's not something that I need to worry about right now. So they might not even answer that question. And this is where you need to actually ask probing questions in finding out things like where they live, what part of town they live in, why are they making a decision to move to a certain part of town. So using El Paso as a baseline point of this, let's ask the question of, if somebody calls you on a property on the east side, you ask the question of, where are you living right now? And they say, well, I'm living over here. Say, great, what is making you move to the east side? Let's say they live on the west side today. What's making you move to the east side? This is an open dialogue questions that are open-ended to allow you to inquire about that information. Okay, so asking the right questions, making sure that people understand that you are trying to help them through the process. Because a lot of people think that realtors, real estate agents in general, are actually trying to take advantage of them in the process. This is like why we get a lot of people that say, oh no, I'm already working with an agent, or I'm already having another agent sell this property for me. And they only start the process with this new property going forward, right? So these are questions that get asked all the time. But a lot of times we don't necessarily go deep enough and ask the right questions to bring out those answers that they are sellers and that they actually may need to sell that property to go forward. So one of those things is presenting the benefits of making sure that they understand why today might be a good time to sell their property, and making sure that they understand that why actually creating wealth in the current market might actually be beneficial for the future market, right? So here's the question that comes often into the play. So they are buying a property and they are thinking about selling the property, but they're concerned that they won't be able to find the new property because it is a seller's market. So they are worried about putting their house on the market, finding out that they buy the property, but they can never, finding out that they can sell their property, but they don't have anything to purchase new. Right? And contingent sales are not something that can really happen anymore. So that's something that has to come into the equation as well. So what are the right benefits that can come into equation and how to move forward? And this is that question of knowing how to listen, right? So I mentioned it a second ago, asking the right question, but listening to their responses and listening to the responses that they're giving to you might actually open a huge dialogue, right? So you may be able to help them through the process. So it was a surprising detail that came up recently that a lot of people actually purchase a property and then they actually sell their current existing property to a friend, family member, or just a colleague that they mentioned that they might sell. Now, why are they doing this? Why are they bringing this house to market without ever putting it open market and getting the maximum dollar for it? Well, it's convenience cost. Okay. Convenience is a big thing that I think real estate agents tend to put on the back burner. Now, I want you all to ask yourself this question. This morning, when you left the house, did you wash out your cereal bowl if you had cereal for breakfast? Or did you put it by the sink, rinse it out, and then you'll wash it when you get home, right? You were in a rush. I have two kids that they were in a rush. We were trying to get shoes on. We were trying to get hair combed, but we didn't wash our dishes. We'll wash them when we get home. We rinsed them out, poured out the milk, everything else, but there's still dirty dishes sitting there. Well, when you're selling your house, you can't have dirty dishes sitting on the counter all day because you might have a showing happening. That is convenience, right? We don't want to have that inconvenient method for our clients. So this is where knowing how to listen will maybe opportunity will present itself to bring the house on as a non-presented sale or a in-house sale. These are great opportunities. And even operating under Section 8.0 with the Realtor Code, you can still do this as an in-house sale. So in your brokerage, finding opportunities there where you can or present that maximum dollar with the convenience that they were anticipating anyway. So once again, instead of them selling to a colleague for a discounted price, now you have the opportunity to sell to somebody else that has a client in your brokerage, but bringing that out without any showings. This can also happen in the MLS, just not as easy, but making sure that they're saying, hey, listen, no showings will occur until after a contract is received. Not all agents love this, and I understand that, but that doesn't mean that it's not an opportunity place that you can find to put those seller leads in our current environment top of market, okay? Now, finding the best course of action for people is key, and making sure that you know how to proceed so they can sell to purchase, right? So one of those things, obviously, this is not a big deal and it's not something that's often presented, but bridge loans. These are things that are out there in the marketplace. Now, they're in conventional products traditionally. You're not going to see them a lot in FHA products or VA products, but bridge loans are an opportunity that they can purchase their new home and then bring their old home that they're going to sell onto market without any really headache of doing a contingent contract. Because as all of us as listing agents know right now, contingent contracts are not something that is happening. In this current environment, in this current market, a contingent contract is going to put you at the bottom of the board, and it's not going to happen. Now, can contingent contracts still happen? And the answer is they can, but in different environments. So those houses that may need TLC, the houses that aren't seeing activity like everything is doing right now, so they may have been on market for a couple weeks, maybe overpriced. This is where contingent contracts can still come into play. It's just asking yourself all the right questions in the advance point and asking your client the right questions in the advance to figure out how do we proceed forward. Now, having the right follow-up plan is key too, because remember, you're helping them on the buying side, but they were motivated to call you on the buying side because something happened in their life, right? They got pregnant, they got a divorce, they got married, they had a death in the family. Something triggered that event, or just in the morning, their two kids got in a fight over using the same bathroom. Could be a lot of different things that are the motivating factor to bring it top of mind, but that might not necessarily be enough to push them over the basis of selling their property and purchasing a new one. So you have to have the right follow-up plan, using something maybe in a CRM system or something to follow up with these people over a long period of time. Because remember, those buyers, that 100 people that we were talking about earlier, they are not all going to make the decision right now. They may make the decision over a long period of time. In their statistical point, it's over the course of one entire calendar year. So this is something to kind of keep in mind, that not all things happen right now. And if we work the right way, we can actually be successful if we keep that follow-up plan in play. Now, the other part about a follow-up plan is also understanding that a follow-up plan doesn't necessarily need to be completely over around the fact of selling. It can also just be creating that sphere of influence, keeping that reticulator activator motion point at you at all times, meaning that if they're at the workplace and they're talking around the water cooler, that they're going to bring you top of mind whenever somebody brings up real estate, right? Now, this could also happen while they're actually in the process too. So remember, when they're talking to their spouse or their significant other, they're going to need to remember you whenever the real estate talk comes back to play. And the other side of the equation also comes down to making sure that they remember that you're going to help them through multiple places, right? So you're going to help them if they decide to sell to their colleague. You're going to help them maximize their dollar if they want to bring the house on market without a lot of showings or with structured showings. So these are all tools and resources that can help you drill out those buyers. Remember, in our statistic that we were talking about, this factor of 30, hold on 2 seconds. Let me bring back my screen so it has the right place. So right here, this number, 38% are buying new homes, but this one, those 26 people out of that 100 leads, those 26 people need to make sure that they're buying and selling with you. So you're getting a double side of that transaction, but not necessarily having to do a dual agency or intermediary. You're operating on selling their home while helping them purchase a new one. Guys, this is the key. Finding these 26 people is going to be what changes your business, because bringing those listings on will also bring other buyers out of the scenario. So this concept will recycle itself over and over again. Guys, we're hitting 15 minutes. I appreciate you taking a few minutes with me. As always, guys, you are always welcome to reach out and connect. As you can tell below, that's been streaming. You have my full access, my contact, my name, my phone number, my email. Feel free to reach out at any time. And once again, thank you for joining. If you have any questions, need anything else, don't hesitate. I do think we have a couple comments on here. Yeah, so Nick was just saying that he will get killed if he does not clean his cereal bowl. Well, guess what? My wife goes to work before I do, so and I get home usually before she does, so I can clean my cereal bowl before she gets home, but it will still be dirty pretty much all day. So on that note, guys, thank you once again. We're at 15 minutes and 51 seconds, so have a great rest of the week. If you ever need anything, ever had any questions, please don't hesitate. Join us anytime. See you guys.